tools and fixtures. This is just a basic concept, guys. This is not a full-on detailed video. It's just a concept for you to take on board before your first days in the business, for you to understand a bit more in your own time. Taking on board a bit of knowledge is power. So this area here is like the smoko lunch area. I can clean that up in a second, put it in a box for you. But I use that just to glue together things that need gluing back together and so on. Okay, the first thing that we'll need to cover is the data sheet. Data sheets, and what are they? A metadata sheet, and not a metadata sheet online, not a metadata. This is a data sheet. So on every high-end product, like a forklift, a car, a high beam, whatever, all has a plate on here, guys, and it'll tell you what it can handle and what it's supposed to do. You're not to go above what it can do. So this is 660 kilos or whatever, 700 at most. You're not to take 10,000 or 1,000 kilos. Wouldn't make sense, would it? You'll know on the back of the trailer it will bow. Underneath here, underneath will bow, bend. That's the main support. And those tyres there will go flat. So keep an eye on the tyres and make sure underneath doesn't bow bend, and keeping a standard reasonable weight. I'll show you one side. The other things you need to know about this is the plug that goes into it to be bolted here and there, as well as the sides, guys, and tied up. Alright, you'll be trained on site, making sure that there that clips onto the tow bar of your truck or car with the U-bolt, safety chain in the right area, middle area of the car, not on a piece of plastic. Know your area where it connects to, safe and secure. That's a trailer, but we're talking about the metadata of them, the meta. So we're talking about data sheets, not meta, data sheets. On a van or any other car, they all have compliance plates, data sheets. So you'll see here what it can and can't handle, guys. It's open your door for the passenger driver's side. Most of the times, could be somewhere else, Google where it would be. Find out what your capacity load is and what it can and can't do. So again, these can take 2.5 ton. Who knows? Let's check out the data sheet. That takes 600, so that's 2 3 ton. Okay, I can't take no more than that. That's pretty much the standard. Now, lawnmower, whipper snipper, and all these sort of gadgets, guys, I'll keep them there and I'll keep it basic. Alright, you got your lawnmower. It's got some plastics and some bolts. When you're operating them, keeping your eyes on suit. That's just like your tool. Make sure you don't lose anything. Things fall off. This may fall off here. I'm letting you know now. These, we could put a washer and a spring load here if I have to, but no. Just keep your eyes on it, man, and look after it, and it will be alright. Okay, so you got the lawnmower, and you got some conventional units. You got the chainsaw. You got the other unit. You got units and you got hand tools. Alright. So this is where we go. First and foremost, red and green 2-stroke oils and so on. So the first thing is you got the red tanks, or a big jerry can metal one in the garage, or 2. They're the red ones. 1, 2, 3. That's standard petrol that I could put in the car and go. Or you could use it for your lawnmowers. So your lawnmowers, keep this noted, your lawnmowers, the car, they're the only things. Your ride-on lawnmower, all your lawnmowers are 4-stroke. So they got 1 piston and it just strokes up. The oil comes from underneath the sump. So on the side there you'll have an oil gadget here. On the side here you'll have this. You take that out and you check the oil level. If it's going knock, 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 your bearings are going to blow up. You're going to blow up the engine because you got no oil. So stop it and check that. If it's too smoky, the lawnmower, you maybe have too much oil in it, or the oil mixture in the carburetor is not adjusted. Before we get into the tools a bit more, if you think you know what you're doing and you're not sure, you're not to play with my tools. You're not to self-adjust them and behind my back. If it's not running right, I need to know what's going on with my tool. So as an operator, it could be 5, 10 of yous or 1, 2 of yous, whatever it may be. I do not want you playing with my tools, tampering with them to try and enhance them, or try and fix them or adjust them yourself. No matter how good you are with that tool, you ought to come and see me straight away or change it for a tool the same. So there's 2 of everything and no excuse for that. I do not want you, unless I've told you to do so, and you're doing tool fixtures today and doing a bit of mulch in the warehouse, right, clean the plugs, adjust that carby, and do some mulch. Fine, I'm happy with that. If you're on site and things are playing up, you report to me, say, Matthew, it's not running right, go get the other tool and proceed further as I fix it or whatever the case may be. Do not go upon yourself, please, and try to fix it yourself. So with the lawnmowers, they're red, right, and that's a 4-stroke engine. So there's an oil sump within the car engine, lawnmowers. There's an oil sump at the bottom sending oil up to the piston and the rods and everything. With a 2-stroke though, there is no sump. A 2-stroke revs higher. A 2-stroke is green mixture. Now in this green mixture, you have 2 different cases that I want you to take note of. One is the oil cap of a normal 2-stroke will be roughly of that nature. So 125 mils, one of those is 120 mils, right? That's 120 mils. One of those should be 125 into the green tank. Now that's a 6 litre, so don't fill it all the way up unless you lubricate a bit more oil into it. So you don't do that. You don't make your own mixtures. You stick to what I say. So you'd go 5.5 litres. You'd go just under, which would leave it about a litre empty. 6 litres. I'm a 5 in there, not 6, or 5.5 to one of these. Fully 2-stroke oil, and we'll show you on site where they are. We've got 2-stroke engine oil. We've got 2-stroke oil. We've got car engine oil. We've got lawnmower oil, and we've got bar chainsaw oil. Okay, so there's a few to get confused over. Pretty simple, guys. You're going to use the 2-stroke oil often. You'll know where that is straight away. Routine. So 120 into one of those, and you go. You got plenty. Or you can do the other method, which is one of these petrol cars. So you go to the servo and you buy a 2-stroke oil. This is how they'll come at the servo. About $6, $8, maybe $15 now. You take the cap off and you put 2.5 of those in to a 1 litre tank. A 1 litre tank. So you go get a servo, you go get a 1 litre drink. If you don't have a 1 litre tank, you go get yourself a Powerade 1.25. There's your 1 litre, guys. So 2.5 caps of 2-stroke oil into the 1 litre. So simple. The other way to do it, which I like better, is a Nurofen plunger. So when your little kid's sick at home, you got one of these Nurofen plungers. 2.5 of these into a 1 litre tank. Now you've got the right mixtures of a 2-stroke oil. We'll have to be concerned of 1 or 2 other factors, guys. The machine could be running like shit. Is it the carburetor, the exhaust falling off, like the mower, things are falling apart, getting loose? Or is it the mixture or the oil? So, to recognize if it's an oil concern, you need to consider 1 or 2 factors of an engine, and this is it. So, it will run too blue, which means it's peaking, it's rich, not running enough. Or it's running too smoky, it's running too much, too lean, not lean or lean enough, which means you put not enough in or too much in. Now, if it's pinging, which means every time you're at a high rev, that means you don't have enough, too much. It's like you're in racing mode with this racing bike on 2-stroke, and you've put enough in just to lubricate it to get you to the end. You don't care if you blow up towards the end. As long as you're revving high and you want to win the race. Not with my tools, they need lubricating at the standard. So if it's pinging high, that means that you're revving it high with a lower lubrication inside or none at all. Hence, you may blow up your engine. If it's running with too much lubrication, then it will be smoky and it will run boggy, like slow. Okay, now If it's running too pingy, your carburetor on the systems could be running with airflow inside, meaning the carby bolts have come loose from the side. Or the opposite, the carby bolts are fine, you got dirt in your air filter, or your air in the carby is dirty. You got to take the air filter out, put your hand on it and get it to come through, or take the carby off. Headache. The other things that could bog out a whipper snipper or lawnmower are cleaning a spark plug. So you've started it and started it and started it, you flooded it, it smells like shit, the engine won't start, now it's flooded, you got to take the plug out, you got to pull the string a few times, clean out the piston area, because there'll be oil and petrol in there. Off throttle, if it's on throttle, you'll be sending in the carby fuel. So you turn the throttle off, so you back the throttle off by the hand, you take the spark plug out, you pull it 1 or 2 times, you're flushing out the piston ring, you clean the spark plug, you put it back in and you start it. No one is to put chemicals inside the air filter or inside the sparking area, your spark plugs, to get it to start quick, like a fire start, like a quick start, where you can put quick start into it. Because if you inject out of that Nurofen, say you plunge out some petrol and then you squirt it into the spark plug area and you bolt the plug on and you start it. I don't mind if you do that when the engine's cold, but you're not to do it. That's my job, and I've asked you to come back to me. But if you were to do that and it was hot, you'll seize my piston rings and you'll blow the engine. So you're not to do it, guys. Or putting it through an air filter side, sucking in through the carby that way. You're not to do it unless I'm there and I'm instructing it and I'm taking the risk. Not you. It's not your risk. It's my tools, my set. As a subby, I hope you appreciate your own tools as I do. So, am I rev out too high? It could be that the carburetor's running loose and the air's sucking in too much through the gaskets, or it's going to fall off the carby and it won't start anymore. But it started and it's revving high. Could be too much air coming through, or it could be not enough air coming through. Oil mixtures on a lawnmower could be out completely and smoking that way. The other reasons why a lawnmower would smoke is because there's too much oil in the sump. So, this is what I'm talking about, guys. So with this here, things fall apart and get loose, guys. When you're pulling this in here, you're pulling. Oh! Inside here will come loose maybe, and we've got to refix the whole starter string. So be careful when you pull it, nothing's loose. Make sure, checking your tool to make sure that it's stable. Alright, making sure this is all safe, the handles, make sure these don't fall off. It all looks good underneath, making sure that the blade is fine. Checking on the side to make sure the exhaust is still loose, these 2 bolts haven't come off. Checking the other side, making sure the oil doesn't come out. I've had people not check and oil comes out. I've had people not check the exhaust, that come off and run over it. Okay, this is nonsense, and this is why I'm saying no more. Check the petrol caps on, not too tight. Make sure you haven't lost the cap. Making sure that that area is nice and tight, and making sure that it's not an issue. It shouldn't be an issue when it's given to you, and it should come back in the same way. If not, there's a concern we need to look at. Same with the blower. You got the air filter here, make sure it's not loose. You got here, check the spark plug, check the pulley. If anything seems out of the ordinary, put it aside and get another unit straight away and address it and put a tag on it and let us know it needs fixing. Okay, you got a few hand tools here, but we'll talk about that next. So with the lawnmowers, you got to be careful when you're pulling the lawnmower. Don't drag it back on gear. So when you're holding the gear to self-drive forward, so you don't have to push it, don't hold it like you're doing a burnout when you're pulling it backwards, because you're pushing against the gears. Let go of the drive and reverse it back. Don't hold it and then keep the wheels turning as you're pulling backwards. You're going to destroy it. So you'll be trained on all this. Now with these whipper snipper conventional unit, guys, in here is the carburetor. If you just do this, just a wiggle, you'll see if it's loose or tight. That's all I'm trying to say when they're revving too high or too low. Okay? So if that side on that area there comes loose, that's your carburetor side. That means the 2 bolts have come loose, like the exhaust I showed you on the lawnmower. So on the side of this lawnmower has a carby as well. And there's your exhaust, guys. Making sure that your spark plug's nice and clean, your air filter's all clean, making sure the carby's on tight with the gaskets, making sure that the exhaust is on perfect. So inside there you got 2 bolts, just checking to make sure that they're on. Nothing more, nothing less. Just inspecting properly. 4 bolts here, make sure they're tight. And in this area is your clutch. So all these lawnmowers and things, okay, so once again, the lawnmower and the cars all run on red. Everything else is two-stroke. Just remember that. Now, in these two-stroke engines, in this is a centrifugal clutch. So if this is spinning around and I hold it, it will stop until you rev high and catches in. So in there has like something that goes around and plates open up. And when those plates open up, it catches that and it tells it to wind. When you hold it, it tells the plates not to hold that catch. Okay, it will jam and clutch. So I do not want you using your hands when you're going to grab this to change the string. On the ground, put your foot on it, stop it, low rev, grab it, it's on clutch mode, you're safe to adjust it. You wouldn't put your hands near a chainsaw, even if it's idling in clutch mode. So I don't ever want to see you guys handling any pole saws, holding a chainsaw while the motor's running at all. And the same goes with the hedges as well, chop your fingers right off. Okay, now with the hedges, they can only cut through this much. They can't cut through that much. So if that's the case, you get the hand tool or you get the pole saw. You don't put the hedges under pressure because they have gears inside and you'll blow the gearbox. So they can only hedge a certain thickness and you'll be trained on site. Remember this, guys, that the thickness can only go through the depth of so much of a tree in the hedger. If upon that you use the hand tool or the pole saw. That's how you operate these tools. The hedger needs greasing in the gears and you'll be shown that on site. And the pole saws, so this is the pole saw, guys, okay, and this is a hedger. Now they all come in square or 9-pin. They have a square pin into this conventional unit, or we can go a 9-pin and go 6-7 feet. We can go really tall. We can go 2.5 stories, 3 stories, 4 stories high. We can really get that pole right up there and about 5 extensions. So this is, but we don't normally, you normally just use the 1, maybe 2. So in the hedger, there's your gearbox. There's your gearbox in the hedger. It gets put through with a nipple grease. So in there's your nipple grease and we keep that greased. They always stay sharp and clean. We've got a tool sharpener. Do not put anything thicker than what that can do there. If you do, you're putting it under pressure, which will unload that and blow it up. Or you're going to be paying me $70 or whatever it is to get a new one, or 300, whatever it's worth for. They're not cheap. So if you're negligent and you put it through something and you haven't watched this video and you should have and you told me to have, you fired. But in saying that, I don't like to say you're fired. Just follow suit, guys. Simple as that. This is your instruction. If you do well, then I'll see that and I'll pay you accordingly, happily. So make sure you don't underload this at all. With the chainsaw here, you're not to put your hands here like this at all. Even if the engine's off, you've got to be very careful with gloves. You cut yourself at sharp. Chain, the same thing. You'll be learning on side. Look, bleeding already, guys. Already bleeding. How's that? Oil goes in here. Nipple grease goes in here for the gearbox. A bit of grease in here, which I never do. Don't stress too much. We'll grease them once a year. But this here is an oil that lubricates this chain. That chain won't move forward unless it's lubricated. So if this is not moving forward, it means you check your oil. Alright, so that's pretty much the conventional unit, guys. Then you've got the blower and you've got the edger, which can do edging as well, and a weed whacker. So it's like 4 or 5 different units in one. It's got a square component inside or a diamond bit. Now, what I'm telling, the reason why I'm saying that is don't go connecting a diamond end bit into a square bit conventional unit and grind the fuck out of my pole. So rounding that off. Putting that into a 9-bit, you'll grind it to shithouse. So know what bits you're putting in and what's what. Get to know my tools and respect them, guys. Alright, if you don't, then you'll be given certain warnings or fired on the spot. Simple as that. Alright, because this is clear instruction, guys. And I don't have to repeat myself. This is what it's about. And everyone follows suit and synchronizes. So you got the lawnmower, 4-stroke like the car, sump and oil, goes up and lubricates everything, red petrol. 2-stroke, different factor, no sump, oil with the rings, go straight in from the petrol straight into the rings, no sump. So the petrol needs lubricating for that ring and for the piston and for the rod, conrod and all the rest. It needs lubricating whilst the fuels are going through. So there's your 2-stroke, 2.5 to 1 litre or 125 into a 5 litre, I've got a 6 litre tank. You fill it up 5.5 at most, and you put in the 119, which is in that red box. Simple. It's easy. You'll be coming out with me every morning at the survey doing it. It's so cool. All good, yeah? Like, no stress. Don't stress. It's easy. But just know this is the rule. All right? Then you got to understand the component and respect it in a sense of making sure nothing falls off and vibrates. Take your time getting to know my tools and respecting it. I don't care if it takes you a bit of time. Time is your demand. Yeah, we understand that productivity equals your demand, but not at the start. Okay, so in here your exhaust is in there and you got the cut on the side. Make sure it's all clean, ready to go and safe. If it's not ready, then it's not acceptable. In terms of hand tools now, you've got a few hand tools in here. You've got the main clippers that you would have seen in previous videos, and I'll show you that on site, guys. Then you've got the shears, which you can also do for hedging. You can use hedging. Now I've got a sharpener in the sharpener area. I've got 2 sharpeners, one for chains and one for tools. So a rock stone with water on those areas, or you use the file on a chain. I'll show you that. Then you've got a few rakes, a few hand saws, a pick, a few just a few hand tools in here that you might use in a landscape sort of job. We have witcher hats as well, so you put one at the front and one at the back of your vehicle, just so you know. You've got the same with the hedger, hand tool hedger here. And you got the chainsaws, and you got the blowers, guys. Then you got the ride-ons and everything else. I'm not going to show you all the tools. I'll be here fucking all day. End of the day, I'm just showing you a basic rundown of what you need to know. So your meta sheets, you need to know what capacity load and what to tie up to, and make sure the trailer's secure. So you make sure that those areas are locked in and it's plugged in and ready to go. The U-bolt's on and it's all safe. I'm going to come and check that and make sure it's done properly, and then I'll know when to sub you out with that sort of work. Then the next one is obviously knowing the weight of your vehicle and what you can and can't do. But most importantly, what is a 2-stroke and what is a 4-stroke engine. So the lawnmowers and the car are red tank, and then the others are 2-stroke. Very important, guys. 2-stroke and lawnmowers. Okay. The other tools that we have is a ladder for for gutter cleaning. So we've got ladders there available, and we've got a few more as well. Apart from that, guys, we've got a blower, which up top there on the right, up there is a vacuum blower mulch. So we connect that to another tool on the side, and it sucks up things. So we don't use that often, but we do at times. We've got hand tools more here. So we've got a few shovels, a few picks and poles. We've got a crowbar, things like that. And we got your toolboxes. We've got a few more in there. So we've got a few toolboxes. You got your oils. You got your your sunscreen, the blower vac, a few bump feeds. This here, guys, is baby powder for if you get chafe between your legs or a bit of a sore rash between your legs like a baby. You want to put some baby powder there. Bring some work clothes as well, some additionals. Alright, that's pretty much it. That's tools and fixtures. Just remember 2-stroke, pinging, not enough oil, too much oil, but that's fine because it'll all be ready to go. All you got to do is fill it up. I'll look after that. But just so you know, if I'm not there and I give you consent to do so, that's the rule. If you need to go back, check that out, okay? Apart from that, the ride-ons, it's all petrol. All the 2-strokes are 2-stroke. All the hand tools are hand tools. They're all to be looked after. If you damage them in your own accordance unfairly, then you'll be docked for that damages and maybe fired or not. If it's fair, and 90% of times, it's due to an old material of that mower or blower, whatever it is. It's just shit itself, not your fault. All right. So I understand that things do break after using them, but if you use a tool for so long, you'll realize if you look after it, it will look after you and it'll last you a long time. There'll be no needs for any damages. So at the end of this video, you're really to appreciate these tools in a sense that if you really look after them, they're going to get you through. You're going to make good money with them, and you'll sort of respect those tools, and everyone along will appreciate good tools. Okay, if I'm having to fix my tools all the time and give you warnings, then the business will be on break, and there'll be a reshuffle of employment in terms of concerns of the abuse that was given. So in respect, this is tools and fixtures, guys. You will at times be asked to sit in the warehouse, clean all the spark plugs, clean all the filters, sharpen all the tools, hand tools, sharpen all the saws, fill them all up with oils, and so on. When the right person comes along to do that, and they can join me doing that. I enjoy doing that on the weekends, an hour or two here and there, or maybe I've got to fix it there and then. Right there, it has to be done, because there's not two of that tool, or 2 or 3 are broken, and we need to get one running now. So please respect all that, guys. I've built this business up for a very long time, and it is amazing what I've got in a sense of tools, all right, and how I fix them. So as your boss, know that I fix the tools and I know how to, mechanically minded, all right? So just know you'll be sorted, all right? And enjoy them and respect them, and we'll see you in the videos.